Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show with live peoples. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I thought I'd have a bit of a play, so I've got a baby wipe here, and inside here I have a palette that I made about a year ago. And they are professional watercolours. I've sprayed them with a fine mist. So I've got my cadmium yellow, my lemon yellow, my French ultramarine, cerulean blue, alizarin crimson and cadmium red. So I've mixed these two together to make the purple. I've mixed the cadmium yellow and the cadmium red to get the orange. And I've mixed the cerulean blue and the lemon yellow to make a green, sorry, beg your pardon. Make it a bit greenier. But I wanted to talk about making greys, so we can mix colours together. So we've got all the reddy purples and the purpley reds, and we've got the purpley blues and the blue purples, and we've got the cold blues, the green blues and the greens, and then we've got the pale yellow greens, we've got the gamboges and all the warm yellows and the orangey yellows and the yellow oranges, and then we've got the red oranges and we've got the orangey reds and the red oranges, which is like the vermilions. So they're not quite as cold as cad, but they're not quite an orange. So we've got the full spectrum of the bright colours. But then what we want is maybe some tints and some tones. And you get the tints and the tones and the shades by adding white or black. But I don't kind of like to do that. I like to add water to watercolour to make it paler. If it's oils and acrylics, then obviously you do have to use to some degree white. But for shades and darker tones, I like to make a grey or a grungier colour by using complementary colours. So I've got some yellow here. This is lemon yellow. It's the bright cold yellow, and I'm just going to put a tiny touch of purple to it. So I'm going to move this to one side, and I'm just going to put this here. And it's not done very much, but it's just made it, I'll zoom in a bit, it's just made it that little bit kind of darker. So clean brush. I think my purple's dry. And then again, just another tiniest amount into the same one. Oh, I put a bit too much on there. But you can see I've now kind of got a grungy yellow. I'm a bit of a tight Yorkshire lass, so I don't like to use too much. So we'll go back, take it one step back. So here we haven't got the gamboge, we haven't got bright, but we've kind of got grunge. It's not green. It's a dull, almost like a Sahara yellow. It's a dull yellow. Let me just play. Apologies about the rain. Now that's slightly better. So what you can do is you can see that was the bright, little bit more purple. So what we do is we touch again just the tiniest amount and mix it together. And this is almost a sand colour. So this is more of a tone. They are called tertiary colours, but they're not bright. We're now going inwards. We're going inwards to make black in the middle. because in the middle of the colour wheel is always black. But we're going to have some nice greys going to black, and then we're going to go back and take purple to greys as well. So right in the middle we've got black. But it's so much nicer to make your colours than to go into that black now. Just put some more yellow to that. So that's taken it back. I didn't want it too weak really. So again, you can play, go back and forth, and you do this on your palette, that you only play with a certain section because you can take it back without using any more. So I've taken that back now here. It's not quite as bright, so I can just touch that purple, and it's going again. It's not as dark as that one. You don't want a lot of water for using this, so I'm going to just touch a bit more. So we've now got some really nice shades. So if you have a bright yellow daffodil and you want some shading, you know, you can add a touch of purple. Now different purples will make different tones. So if I make a different purple, because that purple to me is a little bit too dark, so I'm going to make another purple up here. So I've got a bit of alizarin crimson. If you have a ready, again, apologies, I'm just a tight Yorkshire lass. So that's the purple. It's a bit of a pinky purple, that one. It's a pinkier purple. So we're going to add that one to some yellow now. So we'll use this yellow. This is cadmium yellow. Should have had another thing really. This is cadmium yellow. Because different yellows and different purples do different things. So we just want a touch into here. So this is the cadmium. We can have a touch more. Oops, that's too much. So this will be down here. But look at that gorgeous sandy colour. Take it back a bit and we can put one in the middle. So we've got 3 tones. Pick up a bit more. You do need a bit bigger of a palette for this. And you can get now this kind of golden colour. So we'll go back to there. Oopsie, I think I've gone off the rails a bit there with the colours. And we're going to get into kind of a brown now. But the red is alizarin crimson. So all these tones and shades can be used. I'm just going to make a bit more of this purple. I think I need a bigger palette, but I've just wanted to brighten this purple up a bit. I'm just going to touch a bit of purple on there. See, I might have to move in a minute, running out of space. So if I touch a bit of purple, you can see it's getting darker until you can see the purple in it. But before you can see that, you wouldn't see purple, you would see... Oops, sorry, my paintbrush is dropping to bits. So it's getting warmer. Now that's almost a purple brown, and so we can do it the other way. We can take our, I shouldn't have done that. We can take our pinky purple and we can add just a touch of yellow. And it dulls down the purple. It dulls it down till you wouldn't think it was purple. And you have all these tones, but they're all grungy from this bright purple, or it's not too bright. So you can get all these tones and shades by adding the complementary colour. And the other thing you can do is you can take the yellow and the purple and you need to mix it. I think it's probably a bit too pink, is this one? And I think I used the greens. I've got the old paint, but even though it's old and dried. So when you get three colours together, and it doesn't matter what combination, when you get a purple and a green or an orange, you end up with different greys, depending on what you mix. So you can end up with, that's a grey green, that one, that's definitely a green grey. This one's got an orange tint to it, and then if we just go back to this one, it's a purple grey. So you can get three different greys using the three secondary colours. And depending on what you get the orangey, you get the warmer grey, the purpley pink, you get the even warmer grey, and the greens and the yellows, you get cooler greys. But if you didn't want to, if you wanted to keep them grungy, just put that on there, you could do, oh, hang on. Oopsie. You can do some grungy colours. So, so this little man here, which I thought I would never do because I didn't like the colours, is all done by using these colours. So you end up with a purple. If you've got a little bit more purple in, you get a purple grey. If you use a bit more blue, you have a blue grey. And the trick is to take the green until it's just a green, but it's so grungy, it's almost a grey green. So we have an orange grey there. You wouldn't say that was an orange, but you might say it's an orange grey. I just need to put a piece of paper on there because I'm likely to make a bit of a mess of my book. And I think I did this with a rigger because I think it's quite fine. So I do always have a baby wipe just so it's barely damp. And we've got this colour, which is an orange, but it's still an orange. So I'm going to put a touch of green to it. And you can just test it. So it's still a bit warm, so I'll try put a bit of blue to it, and then we'll see if we can make a blue cold grey. So even though that was French ultramarine, that's made it quite a cold grey. So when you start mixing 3 and 4 colours together, or a couple of complementaries, you get grey. So again, we can just, oops, I'm so out of practice. Oh, I've got sorry about this. I've got to take these off. I'm in trouble. I'm supposed to wear them all the time. But they gave me this one instead of the metal one. But he said, "Do you use them?" And I said, and I can't lie. I said no, because the thing is, I can't get them off very well. There's no way I can pull the other one off now. You can't hold a paintbrush. So it's actually come on about a bit of a, not quite an orange grey, but a greeny orange grey. So if I zoom in, then I'll have to focus a bit because it's a bit, sorry about this guy, whoopsie. So I hope you can see there's a purple one, that's a greeny one, and that's kind of an orange. So we've got that grey. If we now put a little bit of purple into this orange here, I can put a bit of green in it first to grunge it up a bit. If we add blue to orange, we get an olive colour. But then if we add a touch of purple, especially that cold purple, it's still a purple, so we need to kind of orange that up a bit. But you've got to add the third colour, because obviously 2 colours you get complementary. 2 colours you get a secondary colour, 2 primaries. But when you start adding two secondary colours together, so you get an orange and a green, you get a greeny grey. So if we do in here, you can tell that because the yellow's in the green and the yellow's in the orange, we've got more of a greeny grey. But if we add a touch of pink, purple's probably better. It warms that up a little bit, and it becomes a reddy. It becomes a reddy grey. That's probably a little bit too pink, so we're going to go back to put in a bit more green in it. If you put too much green in it, it becomes an orange, and we wanted a bit of a red one, so a touch of cad red in there. I mean, you can mix it wherever you want. That's a lovely dull red, so for a shadow, if you had a rose, and just let me have a look, see if I can. I'm playing with the colour now. You can see, hopefully that one is a little bit orangey, that one. We've got the purpley cold blue, but then there's a purpley that's a little bit warmer than that one. So we've got quite a few colours on here. I've got some a pinky red, I've got a yellow, an orange, and then down here we've got green, so we can put a little bit of green with this red, and that's made almost a purple dull red, and that's quite nice. And then add water. So maybe call that, it's grungy, but it's not quite as cold as I'd like it. So by adding just a touch of green, it's still warm, but it's a warm, now it's going to like an orange grey, because obviously in some greens, if it's an olive green, you've got a touch of orange in it, because that's how you make a green. An olive green is by adding that little bit of warmth of a red, but you can add it as an orange rather than a red. And then you've got a purple, so the purple greys are quite nice, so that's quite a purple colour. It's still purple, is that? But if we add a complementary orange to it, it's dulling down, so get a bit more orange to it. It's dulling down, it's still dulling down more and more and more. And now it's gone an orange, so we want a touch of green in there. And just that touch of green has changed it to, again, a bit of a grunge. And now we've got, it's not quite an orange grey, and it's not, oops, it's not a green grey, it's too much water in there, isn't it? So we end up, you just keep going round and round, you end up with hundreds and hundreds of greys. Now the only thing is, it's a little bit difficult to get the same colour. So for this small area it's quite nice, because you just keep making different ones. So you can just keep, I'll just take some off there, it's just that bit too strong. And of course it's quite nice to work with a little rigger just to stroke the colour on. And then we could just do with a bit of a, I do like the purple greys. I think the purple greys, they've got that bit of warmth. The orange greys are a bit cooler. And then you can almost take that purple one a step nearer. But again, it depends on that red. It depends which red you use to make the green, and the purple to make the green, and then the orange. It just depends on lots of other things, but the strongest colour you use will be the one that, you see, that's almost a yellow, but it's still a yellow, it's not quite a grey, so I'll just turn that down a bit. When you can't see a particular colour, or you're just fading that colour, so I think that's like a yellow. That's like a yellow grey. It's a little bit brighter than some of them, because of course as soon as you start doing yellow, if you've got the green in there, you've got the greeny colour, and if you've got the orange in there, you've got the olive green, and if you've got the pink in there and the red, you've got a warm grey brown. See, that one now that is a dark green, definitely a green cold grey is that one, but it's not as green as that one because I've used a colder blue. That one's got a little bit more warmth to it. So when you start adding a green to an orange, a reddy orange, oops dear, oh dear, we're having a big storm. I think we get the tail end of a storm, supposedly. And again, now I've made it go green now, so that's too green. We don't want it too green, so just back and forth between two colours. And then it becomes a warm grey. So by adding just a touch, a tiniest amount of alizarin crimson, I've just completely changed that grey from a greeny grey to a kind of a warm tan grey. But they are all tones of grey. I really like this, and for something that I thought I would never draw or never colour in because I didn't like the tones and I didn't like the shapes, I was quite impressed by how I enjoyed making greys because they're kind of grungy. So they were the professional watercolours, and these were the colours that I used to make the colours for the horse. But there's only 3 colours here. Here we've got 6. So now what we want to try and do is make black. Just spray that one again. It'll be a bit dry. So I'm going to take some cadmium yellow. And some purple. So every strong colour comes back. Oh, hi Suzanne, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Every strong colour comes back. So that's kind of, still got some purple in it, that one. So that's a nice grey. It's some dark greys, so you can get some kind of dark colours. You need to get it where you're not adding anything. So that's like a Payne's grey. And you make Payne's grey from Van Dyke brown. So we want a cold brown. So if we make a cold brown, see if we can make Payne's grey. So that's the red. Oh, breaks my heart to wash these away. So this is red. Oops. This is red and blue, and as everybody knows, red and blue can make purple. So this is red and blue. Oh dear, we've got brown. And we've got brown because we used cadmium red and cerulean blue. But it's a very dull purple. If you look at that, I've got a bit more red. It's a very dull purple, and that's what I was saying about not being able to make. So if I just put a touch of French ultramarine, that's a little bit more French ultramarine, and you get indigo blue. It's a very dark blue, and bring that back a bit. Just want a touch more. It's a fine line. But Payne's grey is normally a very dark brown. So you want a very dark brown and French ultramarine, and you get Payne's grey. But French ultramarine and a lighter brown, you get indigo blue. I'm just worried that it's gone took. It worked quite thick. Oh, thank you, Judy. So did that make a bit of sense? So you need to make your secondary colours, which is your green, your orange and your purple. And then you can mix those together to get greys. And if it's got slightly more green in it, it's a green one, slightly more purple or red in it, and which depends which red, alizarin crimson and purple, and you get a warm purpley grey and some reddy greys. And if you can get a little bit more orange, you've got an orange grey. It's just taking it just to the next level. When it's a green or an orange, a blue and an orange, it's just a grey. But if you don't take it that far, you get grunge. You get these amazing tones and shades, and you haven't added grey. So I say, if you have this bright yellow, I'm done with it now. If you have a bright yellow, no idea what I did with it. Ah, here it is. If you had a bright yellow, oh my goodness, sorry. Daffodil, instead of adding black to it, add its complementary colour, which is purple, and you have all these beautiful shades and tones and tints, and that will give you every shadow of this So you've got in pure sunlight this gorgeous daffodil yellow, and you have all these shades. And the same with the purple. Now, if you have the purple, and admittedly that is a bit of a dull one, that's a pinkier one, adding yellow, you get some lovely tones. So if that was a purple flower, that would be a shadow, but just a pale of a shadow. And you can take a purple to a yellow, and then you've got the tones in the middle. Now these make the browns, but they're no browns you're going to get by doing a red and a blue. These are just really unusual shades and tones. So, I hope that made a bit of sense. But the other thing you can do, if you don't want to make the tones and the shades, is you can do a grunge. And this is with Neocolor 2s. And again, I think I had 6 colours of my Neos. So I'm just going to try and get this one off now. It's driving me insane. Sorry. Gosh, potty do those. So there's 2 ways to do it. If you take the 2 complementary colours and a third one to make grungy greys, you take them to the limit, you completely mix them together. If you don't completely mix them, you just do a little bit of one and a little bit of the other, then you get grunge. And with the Neos, it's a bright grunge. So it's a very I can't think of the word. It's a complete opposite of bright, is you've got grunge. So I had a yellow. I did put a yellow and a green together. I started experimenting with colours, but this one works quite well. It's a bright green and a bright red, and you take the brush. I think I've got it on the elephant here as well. And if I just put that to one side, I have a tray of Neos that I had out. So we'll go again with a pinky red and a cold red, an orange, and a purple, and a purple blue, and a cold blue. And we'll have a light green and a dark green. So we have 2 greens and we have 2 reds, complementary colours. We have 2 yellows and 2 purples. Let's have a look for another purple. And then we'll have 2 oranges and 2 blues. So that's going to give us some quite nice variation. So we can use these 2 together, we can use these 2 together, we can use these 2 together, and we can use these 2 together. So that's going to give us some quite good variation. And we can do that with all our colours. And we don't need any other. And that's going to give us quite some nice grunge. So let me see if I can find a page, and I'll zoom out a minute. So that was just a little bit about greys and grunge, and using complementary colours to change the tints and the tones of the colours instead of using black and white. And it works really well in watercolours or neos, any water-based mediums, but you can do this with oils and you can do it with acrylics. It works really for anything, but it does make some really good colours. And they all come from a small limited palette, and so they all have a really nice effect. So the next video will be the neos and the bright grunge instead of the greys, but it's still kind of grunging up your bright colours. Thanks for watching.